Oh yeah, baby, I made $50,000 when I wasn't on the live stream today. I'm going to talk about how I did it, making $50,000 when I wasn't live right here in this video. Let's go. What's going on, guys? Patrick here. This morning, I woke up a little bit late. I apologize. I think Sage held it down. People still had some great opportunities to make some money this morning, but the market overall selling off into open and then basically rallying back all day long here. And we talk about on the live stream kind of some key levels and things like that. And I really want to get across a point today. I really want to get one point across for everybody out there, because I think this is very important to understand. I think a lot of people are confused when it comes to the idea of liquidity, resistance, support, and things like that especially on the book map. So looking here at the book map right now, what we were seeing is when we had big areas of liquidity, like this area right here at the 170, we talked about this going into the close. We saw that there was all that liquidity sitting at the 170s. And guess what? The market rallied at the end of the day up into that 170 level. So what I want you guys to try to rewire your brain, I want you to rethink about support, resistance, and liquidity, right? The market's moving in these patterns up and down, searching for liquidity, buyers and sellers. Buyers and sellers move the market, but at the end of the day, the market is basically moving, trying to find liquidity. Where is the liquidity at? Is the market going to move out? You can see at the end of the day, we are kind of stuck right there at the 52s. And then we had all that liquidity up there at the 70s and I think we pushed up there into the 70s after hours, but we still got up there right at close to the 62s. Yeah, right there into that push up there at the 62s. And then once the market actually closed, I think 602, we got there to the 70s. So it was interesting because we saw that level, that 170 level was sitting there. There was about, I think 60 contracts sitting at that 170 level while we were looking for the close, and we were down here at the 140. So we were down here at the 140 level. We saw that 170 up there, and I'm like, that's a lot of liquidity just sitting up there. It's just sitting there. And if you looked, there really wasn't much going on below us. So kind of interesting because there's not a lot of liquidity to the downside. Most of the liquidity is to the upside. There's just nothing out of the ordinary really sitting down here in these levels. I mean, 125 had a little bit of liquidity, but in general, we're really kind of looking at where those big orders are sitting at. Where is all the liquidity at? We called out 2 times today, the 160 push and the 150 push here. Right there, you can see that 150 area had a bunch of liquidity sitting there at the 150s. We pushed up, took out that 150 area. We pulled back and then pushed up there to the 60s. Again, you had that 60 area of liquidity. You took that out. We pulled back. We pushed up there to the 170s. So really the big focus, it's a little bit harder to show after the fact here, but you guys were watching the live stream this morning. You probably saw that action. So what I want to kind of confirm here is if I look at the 15-minute chart, what is the trend doing? What's the overall trend? Let's just get rid of, there's just too much stuff going on here right now. If the overall trend wants to go higher, the trend's pushing, we're seeing momentum to the upside. If we see all those things happening, right? We see this action wanting to push higher. It would make sense that we see liquidity to the upside. We see the liquidity sitting here at the 170s, and we're like, all right, we're looking for this push up to the 170 level. So basically think about this, the liquidity was sitting here at the 170s. It was sitting here at the 150, 160s, and we're basically thinking, well, the overall trend is what? The overall trend is pushing higher. So it makes sense that if the overall trend continues the way that it's going, obviously the trend can change, but this trend is pushing. So that liquidity is all sitting up there at the upside. There's really not much going on to the downside. We don't see a lot of liquidity to the downside. The overall liquidity is sitting up higher, the 160s, the 170s. So as this trend is pushing, as the market's going higher, it makes more sense, right? Just think about it like this. It makes more sense that the market's going to push up, take out that liquidity, this area that you would normally, or I would even think about this, in the past, I'd be like, oh, that's a resistance, right? That's an area that the market's going to get stuck at. It can't go higher, which obviously is very possible, but it almost you kind of rewire your brain to think that area of liquidity is actually acting as a magnet to the price action. The price action is almost searching for those buyers, those sellers, and the market's pushing higher. It's pushing higher, taking out those liquidities as we push up there. So the overall trend is pushing up. So there's no reason to, again, like always, there's no reason to fight the trend. If the market wants to go higher, it wants to take out that 140 liquidity. It wants to take out that 150 liquidity. It wants to take out that 170 liquidity. Well, there we go. We're getting that push back up. We're above the pivot points. We're above the VWAP. Everything's bullish. And the overall trend is pointing towards the idea that this wants to keep pushing up there, taking out liquidity as we go, right? That liquidity is acting as a magnet. It's kind of giving you an idea like, that 170 area, kind of like it makes sense. Like we're going to push up there, 170. Okay, perfect. And we're looking again, on the 1 minute chart here, the different breakouts. We had a really beautiful breakout here, end of day, from that one kind of 50 push up there to the 70s at the end. You had this breakout right here that we got from like the 30s up there to the 40s. And then, just kept breaking out. You got that big move up here, this move up into the 140s. Also think about this. What's the overall idea? Like, how does the market move? The market's looking for liquidity, but why? Like, how is it moving? It's moving in a wave, right? Like it's pushing up, it's pulling back. It's kind of testing areas, it's pushing up again, it's testing areas, and it's moving in this wave formation. So if you know that, you believe that, you understand that, you see how it moves, you see how the market moves, that blue line right there is a 21 EMA. We got the big push off the VWAP. We push. But do I want to be buying like right here? Do I want to be buying this breakout knowing what? What do I know? Remember, what do we think? What do we understand? The market moves in waves. So do I want to be buying, here at this level, or do I want to be buying this pullback? Like it makes way more sense to kind of wait for that pullback into that 21 EMA area before doing anything crazy. I like to look at the 3 minute chart. I think the 3 minute chart pullbacks are really strong. They're great overall setups and entries. So we're looking like here at the 3 minute chart. And as we push up, like look at how overextended we are on the 3 minute chart there. And I'm not saying like it can't go higher, but what I'm saying is like, is there a better risk reward than buying right here, being, 20, 30 points off of the 21 EMA? I think there 100% is, because remember, we understand that the market moves in waves. So what's the most logical thing for the market to do after pushing up, after bottoming out here at this level? Well, obviously it's to pull back and kind of test the trend, test the 21 EMA. So if you convince yourself, if you believe that, if you understand the market moves that way, it'll stop you from, number one, FOMOing into a move, because you're not going to chase this move right there before we get that kind of confirmation and getting that breakout again here, like off of the 21. We're not going to chase this move because, again, look how far we are off of the 21. And guess what happens? The breakout pulls back here to this level. What's funny is, let's say you got long right here at the 112. Let's say you got long right there. Well, look at that. That pullback basically, you would have, let's say you've got long, 109, 110 area. The low on that candle right there was 109. So yeah, sure. Like, oh, you're worried that you missed out on this little move right here. But really, like this right here, like if you would have just waited, you would have got the same entry that you would have by FOMOing into this move to the upside. So again, it's like confirmation of like, there's no reason for me to buy here when I know that there's a very good chance that we're going to pull back and test that 21, which we ended up doing right there perfectly. So again, it's like that confirmation of, are you confident that the market moves in waves? Like, do you believe the market moves in waves? Like, how does the market move? It's moving in waves, right? We're believing that. We know that. We've tested it. We've traded. We understand that. So there's no reason to do anything when the market's not pulling back and giving me a setup, because I know that if the market's going to pull back, like no matter what, the market's going to pull back, I'm going to get a better risk reward, a better setup by waiting and believing in that very simple strategy. So again, today, hopefully you guys get two lessons here. The idea that the liquidity that we're seeing on the Bookmap, on level 2, however you're looking at it, those are areas that act as magnets to the price action when the overall trend is pointing in that direction. And then vice versa. If the market's going to the downside, you don't see a lot of liquidity to the upside, most of the liquidity is the downside, the trend is going down, well, yeah, okay, now we're going to pull back and try to test that liquidity to the downside. So overall, when that liquidity is sitting in areas that validate with the trend or kind of correlate with what the trend is doing, what the market's doing, that acts as a magnet, and that's exactly what we saw today. Multiple times, 3 times we saw big areas of liquidity on the Bookmap, and we saw the market move to those areas of liquidity and take them out and then pull back. And then the final subject here is, at the end of the day, how does the market move? It moves in waves. So why do you do anything other than wait for a pullback or another opportunity to pull back to get in long? There's no reason to chase. There's no reason to try to short the top. There's no reason to do anything other than trade the trend, trade the action that's in front of you. Don't go guessing. You don't need to guess where the market's going to go. You just got to wait, be patient, and there it is. So if you guys haven't already tuned in, hit that subscribe button. 9:15 a.m. We'll be live tomorrow morning. I'll see you guys then.